Have you ever felt like gardening demands too much time, too much effort, and still doesn't work out the way you expect? You plant something with excitement, you water it, you check on it regularly, and then pests appear, diseases show up, growth slows down, or nothing turns out the way you hoped. Meanwhile, you see others harvesting baskets full of fresh vegetables as if it's effortless. Here's what most gardening guides don't tell you. It's not about working harder, it's about choosing the right plants. Because some vegetables are naturally easy to grow. They don't need perfect soil, they don't require constant attention, they don't punish you for small mistakes. They simply grow. In fact, some of them grow so quickly and reliably that once you plant them, it almost feels unfair how easy it is. Today, you're about to discover 8 vegetables that are incredibly hard to mess up. Perfect for beginners, busy people, or anyone who wants results without stress. Let's get started. 1. Zucchini. Zucchini is the definition of low effort with high reward. If there's one plant that shows gardening doesn't have to be complicated, it's this one. Once established, zucchini doesn't just grow, it takes off rapidly. In just a few weeks, a small seedling turns into a large, leafy plant that seems to expand almost overnight. And then comes the most impressive part: production. A single healthy plant can produce dozens of zucchinis throughout the season. And here's the key. The more you harvest, the more it keeps producing. Each time you pick a fruit, the plant responds by creating new flowers and more zucchinis. It becomes a continuous cycle that rewards even minimal effort. Zucchini is also very forgiving. It doesn't require perfect soil and performs well even in average conditions. It tolerates inconsistent watering and beginner mistakes without major issues. Give it just a few basics: sunlight, occasional watering, and enough space, and it will take care of the rest. Another advantage is its large leaves. These wide leaves act like natural shade, covering the soil below. This helps reduce water loss and keeps the ground cooler, meaning you don't need to water as often. It also makes it harder for weeds to grow. Visually, zucchini grows with confidence. It fills space quickly, making your garden look full and productive in a short time. And when harvest time comes, it often happens faster than expected. Zucchinis grow quickly. Skip a day or two and you might return to find them twice as big. The only real challenge? Keeping up with the harvest. At some point, you may end up giving them away to friends or neighbors, but that's not a problem. That's a sign you picked the right plant. 2. Cherry tomatoes. If growing large tomatoes feels complicated, cherry tomatoes are the easy and reliable alternative. They grow faster, adapt better, and produce more consistently than larger varieties. While big tomatoes can be sensitive to weather, watering, and soil conditions, cherry tomatoes are much more forgiving. Even when conditions aren't ideal, they still grow, and they still produce. Once they get started, they become extremely productive. Clusters of small, colorful fruits begin to appear, and then more follow. Unlike many plants that produce once, cherry tomatoes continue producing over time. As long as the plant stays healthy, it keeps flowering and fruiting simultaneously. It's a continuous cycle: flowers, unripe fruit, and ripe tomatoes all at once. They don't need much, just sunlight, some support, and occasional watering. A simple stake, cage, or string is enough to guide their growth and keep them upright. Beyond that, they require very little effort. They are also perfect for small spaces. Cherry tomatoes grow very well in containers, making them ideal for balconies, patios, or compact gardens. Even with limited space, you can still enjoy a generous harvest. Harvesting is simple and satisfying. There's no guesswork. When they're ready, you can see it immediately. Bright color, slight softness, just pick and eat. Another advantage is how often you harvest. Instead of waiting weeks for a few large fruits, you get many small ones over time. This turns harvesting into a regular, enjoyable routine rather than a single event. Cherry tomatoes don't require precision or constant care. They don't demand perfection. They just grow, produce, and keep going, making them one of the easiest and most rewarding crops you can grow. 3. Green onions. If zucchini is all about abundance, green onions are all about reliability. They are easily one of the simplest vegetables you can grow, not just in a garden, but almost anywhere. And the best part? You don't even need seeds to start. Take the white root ends from store-bought green onions, place them in water or plant them in soil. and within just a few days they begin growing again. Fresh green shoots appear quickly, and in about a week you already have something ready to harvest. But what makes them truly special is what happens next. You can cut the tops, use them in your meals, and they'll grow back again. And again. And again. It's one of the closest things to a continuous, self-renewing food source. Green onions are also extremely space efficient. They don't spread widely, don't need large containers, and can be planted close together. This makes them perfect for small gardens, balconies, or even a windowsill in your kitchen. They're also flexible when it comes to light. While they grow faster in full sun, they still do well in partial light, making indoor growing easy and practical. Another big advantage is how little care they require. They rarely attract pests, don't suffer from major diseases, and don't need pruning, staking, or complicated routines. Just water them occasionally, yes, and let them grow. They're also incredibly useful in everyday cooking. Green onions can be added to soups, salads, eggs, stir-fries, and more. Having them always available changes your habits. Instead of buying them repeatedly, you simply harvest what you need. And there's something very satisfying about that simplicity. No long waiting periods, no complicated setup, no frustration. Just plant, cut, regrow, and repeat. Once you start, it quickly becomes a habit you won't want to stop. 4. Radishes. If you want quick results in the garden, radishes are hard to beat. These are the plants that reward you almost instantly. While many crops take months, radishes can go from seed to harvest in just 3 to 4 weeks. You plant them, and before you even think about it, they're ready to pick. That speed makes a huge difference. Less waiting means less stress and fewer chances for problems. Pests, diseases, and weather issues usually take time to develop. But radishes grow so quickly that they often finish before those problems even appear. They're also very adaptable. Radishes don't require perfect soil or ideal conditions. They grow well in average soil, in small spaces, and even between other plants. You can plant them in gaps, use them as a quick crop between seasons, or grow them easily in containers. Care is minimal. Just water them occasionally and make sure the soil doesn't completely dry out. That's usually enough. Because they grow underground, harvesting them is especially satisfying. You pull one out of the soil, and it's always a bit of a surprise. A bright, crisp root ready to eat. Radishes are perfect for beginners because they deliver fast results. You don't have to wait months or wonder if you're doing things correctly. You plant, water, and harvest, and that quick success builds confidence, making you want to keep growing more. 5. Lettuce. Lettuce is one of the easiest and most adaptable vegetables you can grow, and one of the most useful for everyday meals. It doesn't need deep soil, which makes it perfect for shallow containers, raised beds, or even small balcony gardens. You don't need much space to keep a steady supply of fresh greens. It's also not very demanding when it comes to sunlight. While it grows best with good light, it can still do well in partial shade, making it ideal for areas where other crops might struggle. Now, what really makes lettuce stand out is the way you harvest it. Instead of pulling out the entire plant, you can simply pick the outer leaves while leaving the center intact. The plant continues growing, producing new leaves over time. This cut and come again method turns one planting into weeks of ongoing harvest. It's efficient, simple, and surprisingly effortless. Lettuce also grows quickly, especially in cooler seasons. It thrives in spring and fall when many other plants slow down. Because of its fast growth, you can plant it multiple times throughout the season for a continuous supply. There's also plenty of variety, from crisp romaine to soft butterhead to loose leaf types, offering different textures and flavors, all easy to manage. With lettuce, but you're not waiting for one big harvest. You're picking small amounts regularly, fresh, clean, and exactly when you need them. Minimal effort, constant reward. 6. Spinach. Spinach is one of those plants that simply works quietly and reliably. It doesn't demand much attention or space. It just grows steadily without unnecessary complications. From the moment it sprouts, spinach establishes itself quickly. In a short time, you'll have clusters of tender, dark green leaves ready to harvest. And instead of producing once and stopping, it continues growing over time. You can harvest it the same way as lettuce, by picking the outer leaves and letting the center keep producing. This creates an ongoing cycle, giving you a steady supply of greens with very little effort. Spinach prefers cooler weather, making it ideal for early spring and fall. While many plants struggle in lower temperatures, spinach actually thrives, allowing you to grow food when your garden might otherwise be empty. It's also highly adaptable. It grows well in garden beds, raised beds, containers, and small spaces. It doesn't require deep soil or perfect conditions, just moderate fertility, some moisture, and light. Nutritionally, spinach is one of the most valuable crops you can grow. Packed with vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, it delivers significant health benefits with minimal work. It's also very forgiving. Miss a watering? It recovers. Less sunlight than ideal? It still grows. It doesn't punish small mistakes like more delicate plants do. Spinach isn't flashy. It won't dominate your garden or demand attention. But it will keep producing, quietly, consistently, and reliably. And sometimes that's exactly what you need. 7. Bush beans. Bush beans are one of the simplest ways to get a big harvest with very little effort. Unlike climbing varieties, bush beans grow in compact, self-supporting plants. There's no need for trellises, stakes, or complicated setups. You plant them, and they handle the rest. In a short time, they develop into neat, full plants. Then come the flowers, followed quickly by the beans, and when they start producing, they produce heavily. Bush beans are known for delivering large yields in a short period. Within weeks, you go from planting to harvesting handfuls of fresh beans. And during peak production, you may be picking them every few days. They're also very low maintenance. No constant feeding, pruning, or monitoring is required. Give them sunlight, occasional watering, and they'll do the rest. They're especially great for beginners because they're predictable. You plant them, and they grow. No complicated timing or special techniques needed. But one of their biggest hidden benefits is underground. Bush beans are legumes, which means they can fix nitrogen in the soil. Through a natural partnership with beneficial bacteria, they take nitrogen from the air and convert it into a form that enriches the soil. So while they grow, they actually improve your garden. After a season of beans, your soil becomes more fertile, making it better for future crops. They also fit easily into almost any space. Their compact size makes them perfect for rows, raised beds, or containers. Bush beans don't require perfection. They don't demand extra effort. But they deliver it quickly, generously, and reliably. A low effort, high return. 8. Kale. Kale is one of the most resilient and reliable vegetables you can grow. It doesn't just tolerate tough conditions, it performs well in them. Cold weather? It keeps going. Heat? It adjusts. Miss a watering? It recovers without much trouble. Kale is naturally built to handle challenges. While many plants struggle or decline, kale continues growing steadily, largely unaffected by changing conditions. One of its biggest strengths is how long it produces. Like other leafy greens, you don't need to harvest the entire plant. You can simply pick the outer leaves while the center keeps growing. This creates a continuous supply that can last for months, and in some climates, it goes even further. Kale can keep producing late into fall, and in milder regions, even through winter. Interestingly, cooler temperatures often improve its flavor, making the leaves sweeter and more enjoyable. It's not a plant that rushes or burns out quickly. Instead, it establishes itself and continues producing over time. Kale is also very low maintenance. It doesn't require perfect soil, frequent feeding, or constant attention. Give it basic care, some water, light, and space, and it handles the rest. Its growth habit is another advantage. Kale grows upright and organized, making it easy to manage in both garden beds and containers. It doesn't spread uncontrollably, which makes it ideal for smaller spaces. Nutritionally, it's one of the most powerful vegetables you can grow. Rich in vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, it offers major health benefits with minimal effort. But what truly makes kale stand out is its reliability. It doesn't fail easily, it doesn't demand perfection. It simply grows, produces, and stays strong, even when conditions aren't ideal. And that's what makes it such a valuable addition to any garden. 9. Swiss chard. Swiss chard is often overlooked, but it's one of the easiest and most dependable vegetables you can grow. It combines the toughness of kale with the continuous harvesting ability of lettuce, making it a highly reliable choice for any garden. Once established, Swiss chard grows steadily with very little effort. It adapts well to different conditions, from cooler temperatures to summer heat, without slowing down too much. While some greens struggle with weather changes, chard continues producing. Like other leafy vegetables, you don't need to remove the entire plant. You can harvest the outer leaves, allowing the center to keep producing new growth. This creates a long-lasting cycle that can continue for months. Another advantage is its durability. Swiss chard is less sensitive than many greens. It tolerates irregular watering, resists bolting longer than spinach, and recovers quickly from minor stress. It also stands out visually. With its colorful stems, red, yellow, orange, or white, Swiss chard adds brightness and interest to your garden while remaining highly productive. It's one of the few vegetables that is both decorative and functional. It grows well in garden beds, containers, and smaller spaces, making it a flexible option for different setups. And like kale, it's packed with nutrients, offering vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants that support overall health. Swiss chard doesn't require much effort, but it continues to give back again and again. 10. Potatoes. Potatoes may not seem like an easy crop at first, but they are actually one of the simplest and most rewarding vegetables to grow. Instead of planting seeds, you use pieces of potato, known as seed potatoes, and plant them directly into the soil. From that single piece, multiple new potatoes develop underground. Once planted, they require very little attention. They grow beneath the surface, naturally protected from many common garden problems. You don't need to check them constantly or provide perfect conditions. Just give them soil, occasional watering, and time. One of the most satisfying parts is harvesting. Instead of picking from the surface, you dig into the soil, and each time feels like uncovering hidden treasure. A single plant can produce several potatoes, often more than expected from such a simple start. Potatoes also store very well, making them highly practical. Unlike many crops that need to be used quickly, they can last for weeks or even months when stored properly. They're also flexible in how you grow them. You can plant them in garden beds, containers, grow bags, or even buckets. This makes them accessible even without a traditional garden space. And while they grow, they don't demand much. No constant pruning, no complicated care routines, no daily attention. Just plant, wait, and harvest. Potatoes prove that some of the most productive crops are also the simplest to grow. And for anyone who wants results with minimal effort, that's exactly what matters.